Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews, and welcome to my very first viewer request review. This is a month. This month and next month is going to be requests taken, so I'll be leaving a link to the video below where you guys can leave all the requests you guys want. We got plenty of time to roll through these. We got from now till October 31st. October 31st is the cutoff date. And I'll be doing as many as I can. And plus, I'm in the mood to watch movies right now, so it's always fun to just get all these suggestions. And most of these movies I haven't seen or I haven't seen in a long time. And today's film is requested by Trenchy, aka the Soulless Trenchcoat. I'll be leaving a link to his channel in the description below. Check out his stuff. He does really awesome content. I really enjoy his reviews. He makes fun videos, and I see him in streams all the time, and he's a really good friend of mine. He's a really great guy. So, Trench, if you're watching, this is going to be a request for you, man. But he made a big list. A lot of people left a big list of requests, and in his list, I had seen this film, Popcorn, and I wanted to rewatch it again because I haven't seen this one in a minute. It's been a long minute since I've seen this movie. And me and Popcorn go way back. This is when I was a real young kid, and I watched this movie, but I was so young I can barely remember it. I probably shouldn't have been watching this movie. It's not gory or extremely violent, and maybe that's why I didn't get too scarred by it, because I was pretty young when I found this. I think I found a VHS of this movie when I was a kid, which is crazy because a VHS copy of Popcorn nowadays is so ultra rare. I'm not even kidding you. The DVD alone is rare. But a VHS tape, and I remember because it had the logo and everything, pretty much I'll be using the artwork that it had on it, which is an old school VHS tape. Seen it when I was a kid. Didn't really remember much about it. I remember a couple of scenes sticking out to me that really creeped me out, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah, me and Popcorn go all the way back to when I was a kid. I found the VHS tape, watched it secretly, didn't want, because my parents didn't know I watched this movie. So I snuck and watched it, and there were a few things that really creeped me out to where I had to stop watching it, and one scene in particular I'll discuss when we get to it that made me go, okay, too scary for me, I'm not watching this. But it was really fun revisiting this movie for that aspect, but also because I had never really sat down and watched it since then. It's been years since I've seen this movie, and I could barely remember anything about it, so I was like, you know what, I'll give it another watch, it should be fun, and I must say, it was an absolute blast. This was a really fun horror film that, to me, if you haven't seen yet, I definitely recommend that you watch, especially if you're a big fan of slasher movies. I would say 80s slasher movies, but this is an early 90s slasher movie, but it feels like an 80s movie so much. But it's not. It's a 90s movie. It's a grunge movie, but it's not feeling very grunge. It feels very 80s, so I don't know if it was shot in the 80s. Apparently it wasn't, because it got released in the U.S. in 91, so it wasn't shot in the 80s, at least not from what I remember, or that I can tell on here on IMDb. But it feels like an 80s slasher movie. So you got that aspect. If you're also a fan of cheesy sci-fi horror films from the 50s and 60s, those monster creature flicks, or, The Incredible Melting Man or anything like that, if you're a fan of those kind of movies, I recommend this movie to check out because it's got a lot of fun aspects to it, and it's definitely a movie that to me really sticks out among the rest and is very unique and different. I mean, this is a movie that to me, it's just such a fun time. And maybe that's why it didn't scare me too much as a kid until it got to a certain scene and I had to turn it off. But I don't remember it really being traumatizing as a kid to see this movie. I remember it being a lot of fun because of the idea and because of the characters, because of the humor they bring to this movie. It has humor, but it's not a parody. It's just a really fun, I guess you could say, horror comedy. It's even listed here on IMDb as a horror comedy. And maybe that's what appealed it so much to me when I was a kid. And growing up, of course, going to the movie theater was always a fun experience. I really wish I could have went to this movie theater because they were showing 3 classic horror films, sci-fi horror films from back in the day that all had different gimmicks. And it would have been so cool if I could see there's only like one theater that's close to me. It's like a drive-in theater. They play like old school horror movies sometimes, but it's like sometimes, not all the time. But it is a drive-in, so we still have a drive-in around here. But Popcorn Story, basically you have your lead character. She's having nightmares, some really weird, trippy-looking nightmares, and she doesn't know who this guy is in these nightmares. He keeps talking about possession and, I will possess you and all that stuff. She's having really weird nightmares. She's at a college. I believe she's at a film school, I want to say film school. If not, then she's just out of college taking film classes, but I assume it's film school. And her classmates want to get budgets for their movies they want to make, and the teacher says, hey, well, we'll open up this theater, we'll get some profits, and you guys can go and make your movies with the budgets. So in order to get the budgets for their movies and the things they want to make, they decide to open up this theater for a night and show 3 movies with 3 gimmicks. You have Mosquito. You have what is that one? There's the Mosquito, the Stench, and then there's the second one, which is like the Amazing Electric Man or something like that. I can't remember. But 3 movies. One smells really bad, which is the Stench. The electricity one obviously shocks people's seats. And then the Mosquito one has a giant mosquito they built that comes out into the crowd. And again, they're doing it for budgets for their movies. They want to make films, so they got to get this for their budgets. The night it opens, the lead girl goes there, and there is a killer there that could be connected to the past, that maybe she has a connection with to her past, and maybe is the explanation to her dreams. This is a really fun movie. I mean, it's got a lot of great things going for it. Is it flawless? Is it like a masterpiece? I wouldn't go that far, but it doesn't really need to be. This is a fun, no pun intended, popcorn horror flick. You see what I did there? No, God, I'm awful at telling jokes. But, nevertheless, basically, there's this killer going around killing people, and I don't really think it's like I said, I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything like that, but for what it is, it's a fun movie. It's a blast, and I really enjoyed watching it again, so I'm glad that Trenchy recommended this movie because I ended up really enjoying it. Some of the aspects I really enjoy, I think it has a good atmosphere to it. Now, it says here it's directed by Mark Harrier, and it says it has an uncredited Alan Ormsby direction credit, but it says uncredited, so I don't know what happened there. Direction was solid. There are certain scenes that I thought were creepy. Kind of like the original Hills of Eyes, there are certain scenes where you really can't see anything because of how dark it is, and the characters have to use like these flashlights stuff like that to see things. Usually in a horror film, if it's dark and I can't see anything, it bothers me, but like Hills of Eyes, the original, this one, it works because it creates this moody atmosphere during the dark scenes. It is very moody, and it's got a fun energy to it. These characters, whether the acting's Oscar-worthy or not, it's not terrible acting. And plus, you buy it they're friends, and you buy it they're these college students, and they're having fun. The dialogue is hilarious. The scene talking about Police Academy 5. That writing for Police Academy 5 was so great, Talking about that, or, this one guy comes in and is going to help him build this theater up. He's like, back in the day, we used to put butts in seats, and we used to, do all these things and all that bullshit to help the audience have fun, and it was this hilarious scene. A lot of the dialogue was pretty funny in this movie. There's a lot of scenes where I was chuckling at dialogue. The characters are having fun. They're memorable. You actually have the girl from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 in this movie, which I'm going to try and see if I can remember. I can't remember what her name was, but she was in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. You also have Dee Wallace in this movie playing Suzanne, the lead's mother, or you find out that it's her aunt. I can't remember her name, though. But she was from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. I loved her character in this movie. She was a badass character who had a lot of great moments. The comedy that's there, the humor that's there does work. The gimmick idea of these movies having gimmicks like the stench, the theater stinks, the electric seats and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. And just the whole atmosphere of the theater, everybody being dressed up in costumes and, going in there and having a fun time. When the clock ticks down, that's when the feature film starts. All the characters are just having fun. It creates a very fun atmosphere. There's a lot going on. As far as the killer goes, I like the idea that he can kind of swap faces with people, and he has like prosthetics that he wears to kind of disguise his face. That was a cool idea, and the effects during those scenes look pretty cool as well. There are certain kills that I liked, but I do feel like there could have been more gore, which we'll get into in a second. But the music I thought wasn't bad. Could have been a little bit more like an actual theme song for this movie. Like, there's not really a theme song for it, but the music ain't bad at all. The acting, it's decent for what it is. It's fun. I'm not going to sit here and say it's terrible acting. It's not. It's fun acting. The characters, they're having fun. They're not boring. They're not generic. They're not typical. And they're having fun. They're telling jokes. They're pranking each other. And it makes it feel like it's a fun vibe, and it makes you entertained while you're watching it. The practical effects that are there are impressive. They're practical. I enjoy them. There are certain scenes that I really enjoy, like when Dee Wallace goes to the theater and it shows this thing on the board and all the letters kind of fly off the board. Some of the scenes that actually creeped me out as a kid is during the mosquito segment, there was a part where a guy gets a mosquito straw, like the straw of a mosquito, through his hat and through his head. And whenever he gets the blood sucked out of him, he kind of like deflates. That kind of scared me when I was a kid for some reason. And there's a moment where this guy kisses this girl, but you realize the guy is the killer in disguise. So his face just stretches out. And as a kid, that creeped me out. That made me go, all right, no more of this movie. No more. So that creeped me out as well. But I enjoyed that stuff, the face swapping stuff, the idea that this killer, or maybe it's this killer, you never know. It's a mystery in this movie. This killer who back in the day was burned and was a weird satanic ritual type dude doing weird films, and he killed his entire family during the premiere of the movie, and there was a fire that burned him. And you're wondering if he's come back from the dead. Is he still alive? Just a really interesting story, and the way that it was done was pretty entertaining and interesting. It's a fast movie, quick movie. If I had any nitpicks or gripes, it'd be stuff like maybe towards the end of the movie, it gets to be a point to where when the twist happens, it becomes very much like the last 20 minutes is explaining everything of the backstory. We gotta explain this. The last 20 minutes feel like it was pretty much, alright, this is the time where we can explain everything that's going on, And I don't know, it just kind of stuck out to me and it kind of bugged me a little bit. Nothing terrible, just kind of something that I noticed. The ending, the last 20 minutes does drag a little bit. It kind of goes on and on, for me at least. The lack of gore I thought was noticeable. Like I think it needed like 2 more gory kills. Like you have a cool kill where a mosquito impales someone. You actually get 2 deaths like that. Electric shocking chair, like this guy gets electrified to death. Alright, cool death. But I wish his head would explode or something like that. Kind of like in Halloween 6. And then you have a guy die from like poison gas in this bathroom. The kills, there's a few that I like, a few that I like, alright, whatever, they're not much. It needed more gore. It needed some more blood, but at the same time, you gotta realize this at the same time. This is 1991. Even if they put gore in there, we wouldn't get to see it. In the early 90s with slasher films, it was a bad time for them, because MPAA was going crazy, chopping movies to pieces, And I feel like even if this film was gory, I don't think it would have made it to the final cut. Or, you know, it would be locked away somewhere and maybe you'd get a really rough copy of the gore footage. But honestly, it did need some more gore, which is why it's a shame that it was made in the early 90s, because of that fact. Like, okay, them not putting the gore in there does suck, but even if they put it would have been a lose-lose situation, because even if they would have put the gore in there, it wouldn't have been able to be seen because of the MPAA. But I think it needed some more gore. It would have been cool to have a theme song for it, like an actual noticeable theme song. But besides that, I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's a blast, it's a short movie. Overall, popcorn, I really enjoy it. I'd give it probably a solid 7 out of 10 for me. A lot of fun. But anyways, Trenchcoat, Trenchy, Soul Trenchcoat, I hope you enjoyed this review. It was your request, so hope you enjoyed the review. Anyways, guys, what's your guys' thoughts on popcorn? Do you enjoy it? Do you not? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. Have a good night. Explorer 4 is out. Peace! Peace out, guys.